Yes. How do you? Oh. It's recording now. We'll do this fancy setup. Heaven is God. Got a sign up sheet back here for everybody to sign in on.
Do you have a pen?
Yeah, do you have a pen?
Yeah, there's one right there in that pen holder. Should be a couple over there.
There you go.
Alright, we've got another one or two people we're waiting on. I think I hear them out there in the bay. Every now and then, make sure that that's still flashing a red light on me. Alright dudes, we're starting.
Okay. Right there.
Alright. Alright, good morning everyone. My name is Stacy Gash. I'm with the Grandview Fire Department. Today we're going to be going over the essentials of firefighting 7th edition, chapter 9, forcible entry. We will describe the basic principles of forcible entry, the different techniques used for forcible entry, used to gain access when normal means of entry is blocked. We're going to try to do minimal damage to whatever door, entryway, window we were trying to open. And all of that, we need to provide quick access. When you're forcing a door, it's important to control the door. It's important to not do the damage so that you can maintain the stability of the structure around it. Maintaining the doorway will also keep the ventilation from making the fire increase, the temperatures increase. Your IC and supervisor determines where and when you're going to do your forcible entry. That's not a decision a firefighter makes. The IC will make those decisions depending on the tactic that must be fulfilled, the location of the fire in the building or house, what stage the fire is in, if it's still growing, if it's still spreading, what the deal is on that. The effect that the ventilation will have on the opening that you've created, what it will do to the fire and the conditions inside, and of course the effort required to force the entry. Effort required to force the entry, what they're meaning on that is it's going to be a lot easier to force a door, pry a window, than it would be to say sledge through a cinder block wall. And they're all possibilities, they're all ways to get in, but again, you're causing a lot of damage, saying if you have to go through a wall as opposed to going to finding around the corner, hitting a doorway or something, and being able to make entry through there. Again, it's not a decision that a firefighter's gonna make on where or when, so you'll wait to be ordered to force entry by your IC. Forcible entry and ventilation. The location of the opening that adds fresh air to ventilation controlled fire can be very effective to the fire behavior. Meaning, you need heat, fuel, and oxygen to sustain the fire. The more oxygen you're putting in there, the hotter your fire's going to get, and the more it's going to spread. So that's when they were saying the ventilation is going to affect the fire itself and the fire path. They're going to want you to force a door, window, or anything like that, and again, maintain control over it. That way you can close it down and minimize the air that you're actually letting in and feeding the fire, fueling it. Any entry to a structure is a ventilation. Be it a busted window when you hit it with your cold water stream, putting fire out, or when the fire is a little bit farther along in its path and it's actually vented itself through a roof or through a wall or something. All those will add oxygen and create a more of an ideal scenario going on. Again, you want to control the doors and windows to limit the fresh air. So if you can, pry a window and not actually bust the framing around it with a locking mechanism, so you can still maintain a open enclosure on it to get in and get out, egress out, and still maintain the pulse on the ventilation. That'd be great. If not, you're going to force a door, and then as soon as you force that door, you reach in, you check around the floor, make sure there's nobody right by it, and you close that door until everybody's ready to go back in. Stops the air from going in and fueling the fire. Obviously, you want to try it before you pry it. All firefighters want to break stuff and bust in. It's the coolest thing, I get it. But again, it's the property damage thing. Give it a little jiggle. The door's locked, give it a little shove, make sure it's just not an offset door that's just kind of jammed. Again, that will take a lot less effort, a lot less damage to the structure to just try it before you pry it. It takes 2 seconds. Then you'll get to break things when it's locked. Using a lockbox instead of forcible entry. So a lot of your commercial structures and some of your larger housings in our district will have these. Pre-incident planning, going through your district and walking through buildings and such will get you a general idea of where these are at. They're almost always located close to the entryway, usually about eye level. If you have a narrow entryway that goes down, they might put it on the edge of that door or edge of the building before you actually get into the entryway, just for accessibility. They may allow quicker entry. Everybody in your district should have gotten with you or your fire marshal, and you should have a key for every lockbox, and there should be a generic key. Inside that lockbox is going to be a key or two or a couple fobs to let you into the building and throughout the building. The information for that stuff could be stored in your pre-incident plans or given to you by dispatch through your CAD system. They'll generally tell you where the lockbox is located, provided your department has relayed that information to your dispatch. They will document that and put it in your notes on the way to the call. General forcible entry considerations. Doors and locks, using the proper tools, and security barriers. You see these guys have the barred windows. This first one here, they're kind of offset from the building itself, but these 4 points here are actually embedded into the concrete of that wall. That looks fairly old, so you might be able to chip those out with minimal effort. But these jobs over here, you may need something different, like a quickie saw or something to go through those. I'm not 100% sure how they're fastened in there, but they are security windows, so they're probably fastened in there pretty good. So you may need to quickie saw those out, or think about another means of entry if that's going to take a little bit too long. The tools described in this chapter are not intended to be a comprehensive list. All the tools available, we have multiple tools to do multiple different things, entries. Lots of your tools can be used for different reasons. some of your tools are meant for what they're meant for. Like say a bolt cutter, it's not a striking tool, it's not a prying tool, it's a cutting tool. You're not gonna use this to hit anything, you're not gonna use this to pry anything. You're gonna use this to cut locks, chains, bolts, what have you. Halligan, on the other hand, is the most useful tool, I believe, in the fire service. It has more uses than I can remember, and more uses than I've even learned to teach somebody how to do it. Again, the few tools that we have set out for our display are just the tip of the iceberg of what we have at our fingertips to use to make entry and such. What factors must be considered when deciding where and how to perform forcible entry? Anybody?
Type of door.
The type of door, where the fire's at?
Inward, outward swinging.
Is it inward, outward swinging? What type of door do you have? Is it
What type of tools
is
you
it a
need?
wood frame door? Is it a security, concrete reinforced, metal door? Is it a one-way door, to where you don't have a handle on the outside? It's only for like employees to egress out the back or something. Is it a fire door with a magnet on it? Are they sliding glass doors that you might be able to just slip a saw in there, cut the locking mechanism, and open them? Also, you'll also want to consider what it's going to do to the actual fire once you create that opening. Risk versus reward is a big thing in our career. What structures in our district, your district, might pose difficult or unusual forcible entry circumstances? You guys think of anything that we have here in Grandview that might slow you down or give you a second thought on how you get into it?
Probably that hotel that they just shut down.
The old one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Old one's that's actually a gross little building.
Yeah. That or the high school that keeps burning down.
High schools, they have those double swinging doors.
Where was that place a few months ago? I don't remember if it was Dag or someone else. They kept like locking their gates to the entrance, and people were talking about what a problem it would be if they had a fire, or when they had a fire.
Is that the trailer fire?
Was that the Lock Lloyd fire?
No, it was somewhere here in Grandview. I wanna say it was like
So-
industrial type place.
So yeah,
Is it like
that's
the junk
But it
a
was
good point. So
recessed
it's
back
not
onto
actually
the
the building
property,
itself, but
probably.
actually gaining access to the property to get to the building.
Yeah.
You know what you're getting at?
Yeah.
So a lot of them have fencing, chains around there, a quickie saw, this bolt cutter, stuff like that. Sometimes you have to gain access to the property, like he was saying, to even get to the building, to find out where you're gonna make your entry at, if you have to make an entry. Lots of deals like that. They could be a long drive that gets you down there that we're not even able to get our trucks down. So you have to get a general idea. Pre-incident planning should let you know, to get a general idea of what tools to bring with you, so you can go force that gate, continue on in, and then get to the actual structure. Yeah, that's a good one. Objective 2, moving right along. We're going to describe forcible entry tools on this one. Again, you guys have been here for quite a while. You guys have each used all these tools. Hopefully today we can find a different use or a tool that you haven't used, and you can all learn something from that. As with everything else that we do, minus PR stuff, you're going to wear appropriate PPE when using forcible entry tools. Anytime you're striking anything, you have a chance of shrapnel or debris coming back at you. Anytime you're using any kind of a tool, there's always a chance for abrasions, cuts, anything go on with your hands. So you're going to be protecting your hands, your eyes. Striking stuff makes loud noises. It reaches over a certain dB. You're going to wear hearing protection if that's the case. And we're firefighters. We always wear our helmets because they look cool. The 4 categories of forcible entry tools. We have cutting tools, pushing and pulling tools, prying tools, and striking tools. Almost always they're used for their intended design. Again, you don't use these bolt cutters as a prying tool, pushing tool, a smashing tool, anything like that. Some of these other tools though, you can use for prying, striking, cutting, lots of other different uses, self-extrication, self-rescue. Refer back to the manufacturer, what they want you to use that tool for. Always rely on that, what they say. That's gonna save your butt. That's your fail-safe. But in real life, you're probably gonna use tools for other intended uses, and they're gonna work out just fine. You're gonna find a way that works best for you, and you're gonna love that tool, because that's gonna be your favorite, which is how I ended up with the Halligan being my favorite. It's just a versatile tool. Cutting tools. So we have powered manually or use of another power source. It's going to be like, say, a hand saw, a gas saw, or electric saw. No cutting tool will cut all the metals. So we have a chainsaw for our woods. We have our quickie saw that cuts concrete, rebar, metal, but it won't cut wood. You're not going to take a chainsaw to a school building, knowing that they're going to have an overlay on there, then they're going to have a concrete roof. You're going to take something to peel back that overlay, that sheathing up there, and then you're going to take something to get through the concrete ceiling on it. Again, pre-incident planning, knowing what your tools are capable of and what they actually do. Using a cutting tool on materials for which it was not designed can, one, damage the tool, and more importantly, it could damage the operator, or endanger the operator. Like I was saying, you're going to use a tool that's not designed for it. The blades themselves are shaped differently. There's more blades per teeth, depending on what material you're going to be cutting. If there is even a blade, it might be a diamond tip on a concrete saw or something, where there's no blades, it just feels like rough grit sandpaper going around it. That stuff chips off, peels up, the blades gather up material, start to overheat, damage the tools, and it can start throwing shrapnel and debris at you. And then of course you're going to be trying to force a tool to do a job that it's not supposed to do, and that's going to burn your motor up, that's going to damage you, the tools that you're carrying. Axes, one of our favorites. We have the pick head axe, and we have the flathead axe. There's an obvious difference in them. One you can use for puncturing and prying on things. The other one you're going to use as a striking tool or a cutting tool. Again, with these blades, and as hardened as they are, we'd use them to gap doors when we didn't have like a wedge with us or something. It's shaped exactly the same. You can use it to gap a door and help with that. Metal cutting devices. We've got bolt cutters, cutting torches, and rebar cutters. A rebar cutter is a hydraulic job. You see a little hose coming down here. Made of such hardened steel, it's going to cut right through that rebar like it wasn't there. Bolt cutters, they're good for cutting softer metals. They give you the actual leverage on your handles here, which gives you the mechanical advantage of that small of an opening. So you're not going to be cutting too god awful much more than those things are even able to get around. Cutting torches are usually a mixed gas. You're not going to want to use those. You're going to be in a ventilated area and not around hazardous gases and such, for obvious reasons.
Quick
You're not
question
using
on
a cutting
that.
torch in a flammable atmosphere. What's up?
I know it kind of depends on what you're cutting through with that torch, but how effective is that?
So depends on. I'm not a. This is more of a technical skill that the majority of us firefighters don't have.
Mm-hmm.
Some of us came from welding experiences beforehand. Some came from others, but I personally don't know how to mix the gas properly.
Mm-hmm.
You have two gases. I'm pretty sure you have two gases in there, and the higher concentration on one will give you a higher burn and more of a point for like a cutting, and the other one will be more like a melting. I think we could look that up on break to make sure, but
Okay.
so those are basically just melting hinges off.
Mm-hmm. I mean, is it pretty
they're
quick
only taking
then?
that hinge off. Sorry?
For like hinges and stuff, is it fairly quick?
Fairly quick on that.
Okay.
But again, it's going to be a setup thing.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have to set that up. You're going to have your gases, your gas cylinder somewhere close, or however long your hoses are.
Mm-hmm.
But again, that may be the only way that you're gonna get in there. You might not be able to get a quickie saw at the right angle to cut those off. It looks like it's a steel case door, so chances are you're not gonna stick the forks over, or the, halligate down in there and be able to pry them out. That would be more of a, I would assume, with the small picture and the details that they're giving us there, lack of details for that matter, there's not somebody behind that door screaming. They've got a little bit more time on their hands, I would assume. Again, that's the setup, that's the, having everything accessible and close to the, actual, area you're gonna use it at.
Once it's heated, do you strike it?
So
Or is
once
it
it's
just-
heated, these will actually cut that completely off.
Okay.
It'll fall to the ground.
Got it.
Shelton and I were talking the other day, and he asked about the rebar cutters, if I felt like these would cut through there. We looked it up, and it would all depend on what the steels are made of. They're both hardened steels. Again, this is for cutting a little bit softer metal, so I think we figured that somebody like Bruce might be able to finagle it through there after a bit, but he's not gonna cut it like art class by any means. And more than likely, being rebar such a, for its use as for stability and stuff like that, more than likely, it's probably hardened a little bit more than that, and it's not going to, not gonna be effective at all.
I'd say we could probably just use the hydraulic cutters, couldn't we?
So we use the
that?
hydraulic cutters for
Yeah.
that, or the quickie saw.
Yep.
But he brought that up the other day to wonder, since the rebar would actually fit in there, if it's capable of cutting it.
Yeah.
We looked it up, and it doesn't look like it, but anything's possible. Like we said, Bruce is a big dude, he might be able to finagle it through there eventually, but that's gonna cut us down on
Takes
time.
a lot of time, yeah.
Time and
Yeah,
effort.
and
Again, those are
energy.
two of the things that we didn't wanna
Yep.
spend too much on.
Mhm.
If we have to spend all that effort on there, there's probably another door, window, another means of, entrance around the other side, that we could use that would be a little bit better for us,
I think if you just say, God bless you, and we get it over.
right? Just
Yeah.
ask, please, and thank you, if
Yeah.
it was just.
Yeah, sure.
That's how it works. So like we were saying, you don't wanna use a cutting torch in flammable atmosphere. It is running off gas, air, and you strike a spark in front of it, add the fire to it, to add the actual make it actually a torch. So it's running off of gas and air, and so the more oxygen that you add to there, the more oxygen enriched it's gonna be, and the more gases in the air, obviously, boom. Try to be in a ventilated area. I believe this dude was outside. You can tell he's
It looks
outside
like
trying
that.
to get inside.
Mhm.
Here's our hand saws, a couple of them. You have a hacksaw, drywall saw, and a keyhole saw. So I talked earlier about the blades, and no saw will cut every single metal, every single material. You notice you don't even really see any blades on there. In each inch of here, there's probably 30 to 50 little blades, little teeth on there. That's for cutting metals. That's to keep the debris from filling up in there, and the metal can actually cut. Sheetrock and wood, like these would probably both be for mainly sheetrock. I don't know that I would use this on anything thicker than, say, a piece of paneling or sheetrock. But drywall saws for sure, sheetrock is. They've got 2 layers of teeth offset from each other, a little bit of gap in between there, which allows all your dust and debris from the drywall to fall out of there and keep your teeth clean so you can keep making cuts as you go. These would be the obviously hand-powered ones. We don't use really either one of those 3 here in Grandview. We have a drywall saw in our toolbox. We do not have a keyhole saw. We have hacksaws in our tool rooms, but not on our trucks. We have faster stuff than that on our trucks. Yeah. Power saws. We have a circular saw, rotary saw, reciprocating saw, which is your sawzall, reciprocates in and out, and then our chainsaw. So they don't have a circular saw up there. More times than not, your circular saw is just to cut wood. The blades on them, they'll have some certain blades on there that will cut through smaller nails and hidden features inside of your wood, but they're mainly for cutting wood, straight lines of wood. Chainsaw, depending on your blade, what all it will cut, it's only gonna cut wood, but the blades themselves will allow you to cut more dense wood faster, like you would a softer wood. Reciprocating saw, those will actually cut wood and metal. They also have bi-metal blades, which allow you to cut different types of metals.